has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth. But we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the darkest dungeon. This will be a modded file, but don't be afraid. It should be relatively as difficult as normal. We plunge into the hamlet.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient, pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path, you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
Together, we will find our redemption. With the stagecoach destroyed and the caretaker gone, we will have to make the journey to the hamlet on foot. Demas and Reynolds are my companions and my sworn warriors for this endeavor. If they survive the bandits, they may yet face the actual monsters and abominations lurking within my ancestors' villa. But we shall see. First, we must survive the terrible horror that is known only as the loading screen. Oh, wait, there we go.
brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead.
Here we have a face-palming statue, attempting to pray for
Dispatch
us.
this thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
It is actually possible to use this first fight, and not even on the darkest setting. But luck may be with us today.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
You can also wait out the timer to achieve a rather harder fight in the next room.
Leave nothing unchecked. There is much to be found in forgotten places. An ambush. Send these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
If we had torches, I would burn it right now, but we do not. If Leno
The slow
can't get his
death.
shit together.
Unforeseen. Unforgiving. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
We will continue to explore just long enough to open up the chest. It is trapped, however, so we will likely take damage, as we lack for the key. Now then, onward we proceed to the hamlet, and to destiny. They have leveled up. But Deimos is now a dud hitter. Short on gold, sell unwanted trinkets directly from your trinket inventory.
Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now, and you are bound to them.
Bound, body, soul, and mind, forever. Or at least until death, possibly after. You never know with an eldritch abomination lurking around. Here is the graveyard where many of our friends and familiar faces will wind up in time.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
Oblivion they will never receive so long as the dead walk and undead terrors tear the celestial scape. There is no heaven for these heroes. There is not even the security of knowing their minds will not be trapped within the dark bowels of the earth, wandering, slicing, bloodletting for the commands of a monster they themselves fell to. In the end, the only consolation is that it could end. Not that it will, only that it might.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
A truly, epically tragic extent. That in nearly everything we encounter is his doing.
Trinkets and charms gathered from all the forgotten corners of the earth.
Some of them even useful. The comet's crash has attracted an opportunist who specializes in otherworldly treasure. You can spend crystal shards earned at the farmstead here.
Women and men, soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
They will fight and die terribly in so doing.
More arrive, foolishly seeking fortune and glory in this domain of the damned.
And the damnably depressed at that. They will go mad before they lose their limbs. They will be diseased, flea-bitten, mocked, impaled, broken, and then, and only then, mercifully slain, if you can call it that, when the risk is always present of returning to a later torture. Make no mistake, these poor fools are doomed.
Word is traveling. Ambition is stirring in distant cities. We can use this.
Recruit the sister, Conter.
A sister of battle, pious and unrelenting.
Which she'll need. And Gurney, the plague doctor.
What better laboratory than the blood-soaked battlefield?
Perchance one where the patients do not stab you back, ancestor.
A mecca of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
This sprawling estate, a mecca of madness and morbidity. Our work begins. The Book of Sanity. Very rare as prizes go.
The cost of preparedness, measured now in gold, later in blood.
Spend everything we can on candles. You never know when they'll come in handy. And food, of course. Food is a necessity for the soldiers. Shovels not entirely so much. But food and torches, absolutely. This is our first expedition into the ruins of our ancestry. Be curious, be careful, be witty, wicked, and wise, or you may end as so many adventurers and poor sods have. Do you think you are the first to plumb these ruins? You won't be the first, and odds are, you won't be the last. Lead the way, Reynold.
The match is struck. A blazing star is born.
The dead. dead seldom leave, Doctor.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
An unlocked strongbox. How curious. Another shovel. And a debuff charm. How excellent. A use for that same
Even the
shovel.
cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Now the enemy is blighted.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands.
They've lowered the light. We'll have to repair that. You've missed, good doctor. How unfortunate.
The slow death. Unforeseen. Unforgiving. A trifling victory. But a victory nonetheless.
The darker the dungeon, the better your rewards, but the higher the risk to yourself and your men.
Wealth beyond measure. Awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
So many of your attacks, Doctor, will affect
Press
back
disadvantage.
rows,
Give them no quarter.
which would be good if I had a boss hiding back there, but not entirely as much in the current situation.
Soothed. Sedated. As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
As I told you, Doctor, the dead seldom bleed.
Obliterated. Foolish horrors. Brought low and driven into the mud.
An ornate fountain of holy purpose. Let us add holy. The gods smile upon our knowing act of worship. If indeed there are still what we could call gods in this realm. Watch out for the trap that our scouts were good enough to warn us about. A room battle, but with
The
treasure.
light, the promise of safety.
It might just pay for the next expedition, or the treatment if our warriors are too bad.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
We have surprised the enemy. Take full advantage. Men bleed. Not quite enough to die with a bear, but they do bleed.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Indeed.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
It was a graveyard slash. It caught on in a flash. It was a graveyard slash.
Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
But of course, ancestor. I will learn from your example. We wouldn't want to relive our past mistakes as such, now would we? At least not any further than we already are.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
More food. Excellent. The exertions of adventuring have reduced our stability. They've produced a glowing hunger amongst the party. Fortunately, we brought plenty of supplies. Let us continue adventuring. There is only one room remaining after all.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
In a truly wondrous event, the undead seem to have dodged most everything, as though to punish us for our hubris. Why, no. The good sister will not be getting a turn to heal herself before the enemies get a second strike. Why would you assume that would happen? Finish him, Gurney.
Begone, fiend.
Good. Reynolds, stun the arbalist. Continue to heal yourself, Conte. Now, Demas, see if you can end him rightly.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Very good. Very good. Now then, we won't be able to claim the shovel, but
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
that is exactly what we're going to do, Ancestor. Although you may not be excellent as a choice for our next expedition, Conte, we have all returned alive. For now. Demas is a thick-blooded man. Upon returning to the hamlet, be sure to check the activity log to see what has transpired in your absence.
All my life I could feel an insistent gnawing in the back of my mind. It was a yearning, a thirst for discovery that could be neither numbed nor sated.
And now you're dead, and that will never be truly satiated. What a very grave pity. The tavern has been unlocked. This is one of the mods that you saw in the opening. This
Fresh
is
kegs, cards, and curtained rooms promise solace to the weary and broken alike.
we would normally be seeing. Whereas this is whom Steam has been good enough to provide us. We will upgrade the brothel.
With enough ale, maybe they can be inured against the horrors below.
And we will send the sister to the brothel. True, it may violate some church beliefs or some such, but everyone needs a touch now and again. Nobert, join us.
A mighty sword arm anchored by holy purpose. A zealous warrior.
Frisat, join us.
He will be laughing still at the end.
Quisnel, join us.
To those with a keen eye, gold gleams like a dagger's point. The cobwebs have been dusted, the pews set straight. The abbey calls to the faithful.
Take my blood as you have taken my mind. We will increase the abilities of the cloister.
A man in a robe, claiming communion with the divine. Madness. Gilded icons and dogmatic rituals. For some, a tonic against the bloodshed.
The ancestor does not believe in churches. His gods are those of science and of arcane ritual.
A little hope, however desperate, is never without worth.
We have done all the upgrading we can for now. This will also be our temporary stopping point. Largely to see if this concludes and, of course, what there is an interest in continuing it later. Thank you for joining us for our little session. Have a lovely day.